Back in the 70s, the Saturday morning sun over Cheviot Hills had a way of making everything feel full of possibility. It smelled like fresh-cut grass, mixed with the lingering exhaust of wood-paneled station wagons and the heavy, hopeful scent of glove oil. At the entrance to the park was a big banner for the Cheviot Hills Little League tryouts. This acted as a beacon for the whole neighborhood. It is the kind of Los Angeles intersection of sport and status that, on a Saturday morning, has genuine foot traffic once the station wagons let out. Scott, 16 and still figuring out his tall frame in the manner of a boy whose height had arrived ahead of the rest of him, and Mike, 15 and built the same, roll into the gravel lot on their Schwinn varsity bicycles. They move with that easy, synchronized rhythm kids have when they've spent every summer on these streets. They aren't just here to watch. After a team manager had to leave town for work, an adult entanglement that caught someone who was only half paying attention, these two stepped up to coach the team themselves. They are the new leaders of the Diablos. The tryout is a charming mix of raw talent and nerves. Kids in denim and keds with numbers pinned to their shirts like little marathon runners navigate the dirt. A 9-year-old in a dusty hat watches a grounder skip toward him with total absorption, the kind of focus usually reserved for scientists. In the stands, the parents watch and chat, a collection of young families already starting the seasonal gossip that serves as the league's true soundtrack. By the time the neighborhood wakes up, the field is ready. This is how the league operates. You show up, you do the work, and you are present for the kids who need you. A few days later, a white mail truck pulls up to a house in the hills to deliver the official news. The list has 14 names and 14 phone numbers. 14 families have just put their Saturday mornings in the hands of 2 teenagers. The first practice is less about strategy and more about simple physics. The first lesson is to play catch, throwing the ball in the same direction, like a bowling lane. It's a simple concept that turns out to be very important. Scott and Mike truly started from the basics, understanding that with patience and the right pressure, even the most uncoordinated team could have fun and win. Among the group is Sean. He's small, really small, but he has a giant smile and a ridiculously big afro that looks perfect under his crisp Diablos hat. He's the most dedicated player on the field, wearing eye black and high socks with total professional seriousness. He always wanted to steal second base and do a Petey. Back then, Pete Rose of the Cincinnati Reds was famous for sliding headfirst in spectacular fashion. Thus, we had a Petey. And then there's Anna, the Diablos' #1 fan, and Sean's aunt. She brings a vibrant, rhythmic energy from the Deep South to the California suburbs. Dressed in bright 70s colors with platform shoes and a hat perched on her own large afro, she doesn't just watch. She cheers with a beautiful, thick Southern accent that encourages every kid on the field. She is a woman of considerable composure until the game starts, at which point she becomes a vocal advocate for every play. The Diablos are, by all accounts, the bad news bears of the league. The league reps clearly had a sense of humor, giving Scott and Mike the most challenging kids. There's Chuck, who runs with a bit of an awkward gait, chasing fly balls as if they were a cold that he couldn't quite catch. Scott and Mike spend the afternoons hitting long fly balls and teaching him to run to where the ball will land. Unfortunately, when he would look up, he would get distracted by a plane leaving Santa Monica Airport. The bottom line was that Chuck was a project, a work in progress. Opening day is a real community event with hundreds of people gathering at Diamond #2. The promised pro player from the Dodgers or Angels usually flakes out, so Michael Constantine, the principal from the TV show Room 222, takes over the microphone to talk about sportsmanship. But while the speech is going on, the real neighborhood drama is happening behind the scenes. The stands are full of characters who understand that status is a resource and spend their days extracting it from others. There's Jim, the neighborhood TV repairman, who's actually the league's bookie. He keeps a broken TV in his station wagon as a cover, a decoy that demonstrates a level of tactical thinking most didn't credit him with. He wears the same blue vinyl league jacket every single day. He'll take a bet on anything, strikes, balls, or even who gets their uniform dirty first. Then a bright yellow Corvette pulls into the lot. The kind of car a man drives when his midlife crisis manifests as automotive generosity. A big, hairy foot in a rubber flip-flop steps out. This is Goldstein. He's 42, balding with a comb-over, and carries a metal briefcase like he's on an important mission. He whistles and high-fives parents as he heads to the bleachers with the confidence of a person who has never once in his life experienced a consequence. Once settled, he opens his case to reveal silver sun reflectors, vegetable oil, and a flask. He arranges the reflectors and spreads the oil over his belly. Ready to tan, he performs a bit of 70s magic. He pulls a telephone out of his briefcase and calls his wife. The crowd gathers around, amazed by the technology, celebrating the connection with a volume that communicated the situation with complete clarity to everyone in range. Women had to fan themselves from excitement. I think a few hyperventilated, almost passing out. On the other side of the diamond are the Mounties, coached by Big Leonard. At 6'7", he's a handsome guy with a magnetic personality, a booming voice, and a smile that makes him friends with everyone. He is the kind of person a community builds itself around without anyone deciding to. It just happens, the way certain people become the center of gravity in a room. He's a family man, but he's also a favorite among many of the mothers in the stands. In fact, while the opening speech is finishing up, Leonard is in the equipment room finishing up with Mrs. Goldstein. She found herself looking for some company after her husband's high-tech phone call. Big Leonard was happy to oblige. The sec cheer, oh, the sec cheer. Speaking of having fun, the Diablos decided to use cheers similar to a football cheering squad. The kids would make them up before the game and then seek approval from Anna and the coaches. Big dog, little dog, floppy-eared pup, come on, Diablos, let's chew 'em up. Cheer number 1 is officially approved. Next, cheer number 2. Everyone sits silent and disappointed. After a moment of silence, the group stands and yells a single funny yay from the bench.
Yay!
Approved. Greg thinks of a final cheer that's a bit much for a 9-year-old. It wouldn't fly these days, but back then approval came easy. They shouted, "We can win without a hex, 'cause we like baseball better than sex." Anna is shocked and amazed. She just about has a cow, but the coaches approve it anyway. While the boys managed the roster, the soul of the field belonged to old Joe, the umpire. At 73 years old, Joe didn't just call the game. He made it feel important, carrying the weight of a man who was an original Negro League second baseman. He was thin and black, with a magnificent gray beard and a large gray afro that looked like a storm cloud beneath his cap. Joe wore the full gear, helmet, face mask, and shin guards. He made the game feel official because he expected professionalism from children. If he called strike 3 and noticed a distracted third baseman looking at the clouds, Joe would whip a ball across the diamond, hitting the kid square in the chest. "Wake up, third," he'd bellow, his voice carrying. The game against the Mounties starts, and Big Leonard shouts out orders, barking like a sergeant in boot camp. There was Arnold, number 747, a big athletic kid whose jersey stretches over a belly that usually hides a candy bar. He would snack on a Hershey bar as soon as he slid into second base, chewing with the quiet satisfaction of a boy who knows he has made something of the moment. Julie is on the mound for the Diablos. With her red hair and freckles, she's a powerhouse who can outpitch any kid in the league. She is a woman of genuine distinction on the field. She strikes out the Mounties with a precision that bordered on the artistic. The score goes back and forth, a vast and strange distance between the beginning and the end of the inning. Then comes Chuck's big moment. A massive fly ball is hit over his head, but instead of standing still, he pivots. He runs as fast as he can, chasing the ball's shadow, just like Scott taught him. He does not look away. He dives at the last second and catches it. The Diablos go wild. Anna is jumping up and down, shouting, "Do the sec cheer! Do the sec cheer!" The team stands up and delivers the message while Anna high-fives anyone within arm's distance. With the bases loaded, Jeff steps up to the plate. The Mounties are so distracted by the loud sec cheer that their pitcher lobs a fastball right down the middle. Jeff hits a seeing-eye grounder that finds its way through an infield of confused, distracted Mounties. The Diablos win. But the day takes a sudden turn in the parking lot. The volume of everything increases. Goldstein saw his wife leaving the equipment room with Big Leonard and decides he's had enough. He grabs a shotgun from his Corvette, a weapon he points with a shakiness that was not the shakiness of a professional. He confronts Leonard, shouting racial insults and blaming him for his failing marriage. The whole crowd stops. It is a scene that looks like the aftermath of an event that would require considerable explanation. "Hands up," Leonard pleads, trying to stay calm for his family. Mrs. Goldstein, crying, tells her husband to put the gun down and uses the new cellular phone to call the police. Distraught, Goldstein drops the gun. When it hits the ground, it accidentally fires with the complete indifference that asphalt has always shown toward human plans. The bullet finds Leonard's leg with the indiscriminate accuracy of a stray round. Everyone starts crying, mothers and kids alike. Goldstein stands there shaking uncontrollably. For once, he is speechless. The police drive into the parking lot to assess the situation. When they hear the story, they seem to almost sympathize with Goldstein's situation, but they still handcuff him. They were about to cuff Leonard, but the ambulance came to take him to county hospital. Mrs. Goldstein had stopped crying. Straightening her skirt, she winked at the paramedic, already looking for the next bit of attention. In Cheviot Hills, this game might be over, but the story of the Diablos lives on.